Anyway.
I do have a story for anybody who wants to listen.
I love how you phrase that. I have a story for anyone who wants to listen.
Hit it.
They're here.
Don't cross the streams.
Bueller.
I'll have what she's having.
Great Scott!
Why did it have to be snakes?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bueller.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I'll be back.
I am your father.
Bueller.
I feel the need for speed.
It's showtime.
Hello.
Hello. For everybody listening at home, what usually happens is we press record and then we wait about 5 seconds. And meanwhile, Sophie and I are staring at each other on our computer screens. And then I wait and then she goes, hello.
I think we're both waiting and not counting. 'Cause I was
Pretty
like,
much.
are
Well,
you going to say it?
I see the number. I don't know. I just go by
I don't actually look at the number.
Oh.
I just look at you. Like, who's going to say it first? That's funny. But anyways, how are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm pretty good. It's nice and sunny, and we had a little bit of a rainstorm yesterday, and that was pretty fun. But yeah, it's beautiful today, and I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Nice. It is the last cold day of May. It's going to be
Yay!
70 soon. And I think it's going to be, or I'm sorry, I think it's only going to get up to 60 today, but now we're just getting hotter and hotter, so.
Well, I think I need to
Yay!
come down and visit soon because I need to dry out.
Yes.
I live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and it is wet.
Unless you're in Central Oregon, then it is dry.
But yeah, how are you?
Oh yeah, how am I? I'm all right. I'm okay. Things
Yeah.
are busy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's out of town until tomorrow, which is fine, but I have a hard time with just me and 2 kids because that means I'm outnumbered. So there we go. I'm doing it, and all
Yeah.
the other things I gotta do. But yeah, other than that, things are good. I got some opportunities with like photography, still slinging coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things are good. We're trucking along. Summer's coming, and now we've got more movies to talk about, and I'm sure
Yay!
people are maybe missing us after the intermission. But we are back. We are here.
We're here.
So,
We're still going crazy.
yeah. And what are we talking about today?
Oh, speaking of crazy,
Oh, gosh.
we're here, and we are going to be talking about Desperately Seeking Susan. Yeah, that was a fun one, I think.
Yes. I liked it and also did not like it, but
There was a lot of like moments for me.
yeah, it's like overall, if I watched it again, I think I'll like it more and more.
I'm feeling like I pick up more when I'm not taking notes too. Like I maybe I'm just looking down so much while I'm taking my notes that I don't see things happening on the screen.
Maybe.
So-
Half of this I was not into at first, so it was hard for me to pay attention. But the second half, for some reason, I really finally got into it.
Yeah. The first half, I was just laughing a lot because married life, am I right?
God. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk
I have
about that.
problems with this movie, too, but we'll talk about it.
So what did you find out about the movie anyway? Like, let's talk about who's in it and stuff.
Yeah, so Desperately Seeking Susan, it came out in 1985. The director is Susan Seidelman. I'm probably, again, butchering all the names I say. Please forgive me. But she is known for, of course, this movie. She also created Sex and the City.
Ooh,
And,
now that, I could see that.
And then another one, Smithereens, in 1982. But she's had other things come out after that. I was reading some things she said, and also this movie is considered one of the 100 greatest films directed by women.
Okay.
But with that being said, I heard a personal quote from her where it says, "For a while, I was always called a woman director," which is weird because I really feel like a director, not a woman director. I think that as more and more women direct different kinds of movies, we'll stop labeling things women's pictures or hear people say she makes women's movies. I'm a woman and I don't know exactly what the term means, women's pictures. are supposed to be somebody like a sensitive portrayal of relationships between women, I guess. It just kind of trails off. But she made a lot of sense because I was trying to think of movies that remind me of this. And for some reason, I thought of Beaches, directed by a man. I looked up another one directed by a man. I can't think of the name of it. But like these movies or this movie, if I watch this, I'm not like, oh, a woman directed this. Like, you don't know.
You don't know.
So kudos to her speaking up about that. So yeah, the director, that's all the information I got from her. And the writer, the first screenplay for this person, Laura Barish, but I didn't find a lot of information on her. So sorry. And it's spelled Leora. Is that Laura too?
Leora?
Is it Leora or Laura? Leora.
I don't know.
Well, anyways,
I would say Leora.
The writer is Laura Barish, and it was her first screenplay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful name. Yeah. I hope it's Leora.
That's all right if it's not.
Yeah.
You email us.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the cast, shall we? We've got Rosanna Arquette as Roberta. I don't remember. She's been in stuff, obviously.
Yeah, I just don't remember her a lot.
Right. And another thing that's fun about Rosanna is I didn't realize all the siblings were famous. You know, you've got Patricia Arquette, David Arquette, Alexis
I was gonna say, she's related.
Arquette.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I know. And then there's Richmond Arquette, too.
I recognized her from Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Actually, she was in Pulp Fiction.
She was in Hope Floats. That was another one I recognized her in. I loved Hope Floats.
All my piercing, 18 places on my body, every one of them done with a needle. 5 in each ear, 1 to the nipple of my left breast, 2 in my right nostril, 1 in my left eyebrow, 1 in my belly, 1 in my lip, 1 in my clit, and I wear a stud in my tongue.
Excuse me. I was just curious, but why would you wear a stud in your tongue?
Sex thing. Helps fellatio.
So yes, we had Rosanna Arquette as Roberta. Madonna was Susan. The 80s is very interesting because Madonna, at the beginning of this movie, she wasn't famous quite yet, but she just shot off becoming famous. So by the end of the movie, they've had to do security and more stuff for her.
Yeah, I was going to say, they had one of her songs in the movie, and that was a very popular song. Yeah.
Yes. They actually made the music video from clips of the movie.
Oh,
and
that makes sense.
She apparently recorded a song called Desperately Seeking Susan, but it must not have made the cut, and they went with this other song instead.
Gotcha.
Obviously, we know who Madonna is. I didn't look much more into her.
We're too young to really experience Madonna as the, lace-wearing powerhouse that she was, and all of the, her outfits and everything in the show were exactly what I would picture Madonna as an icon, as a pop icon, right? With the lace and the lacy gloves and the upright hair and all the jewelry everywhere, and just, her back then. I didn't know much of what to expect, really. And I didn't really have a lot of firsthand, watching her and looking at her. It was always just this peripheral, oh yeah, Madonna type of thing. But when I saw her in the movie, I was like, oh, no wonder she was so popular. It was like her charisma just came across the screen so easily.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird too because Rosanna Arquette won an award for Best Supporting Actress.
I know.
And I'm like, you are the main actress. So, and that was weird too. In the 80s, I don't see how people can see Rosanna not the main character. But
I know.
Whatever. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
All right. We also have Aidan Quinn, who is Dez. I thought instantly Practical Magic because I love that movie. And Legend of the Fall.
That's who he was.
Yes, you recognize him. He's been in Benny and June. He was in Benny and June.
My brain is exploding right now. You have no idea.
I am not taking this guy home. You have to, man. Remember the bet I lost last year when I had to replate your socket set? I didn't back out, did I? You can't bet a human being.
I'm Sam. So I hear. I'm Benny.
All right. So we got Dez there. The next person I got is Mark Bloom, which is Gary Glass.
That guy, he did a good job. The actor.
He did. Oh, he was in not only this movie, but he's been in the TV show You since 2018. So I haven't watched it. I would love to watch it and see him now. Okay. Then we got Robert Joy, who was Jim.
Oh, the boyfriend. That's right.
Yes, he was the boyfriend. He was in movies, but I didn't recognize, except for The Hills Have Eyes. I'm pretty sure that was the one. But anyways, if I mess that up, I will check and we will correct. Moving on.
Moving on.
Next I have, Laurie Metcalf. What did I write there? Why am I special? I did write it right. Laurie Metcalf. Kalvf. Who is Leslie Glass, the sister.
Okay, the sister. Oh, she was so good.
I wanted to bring her up because I looked at her films and I was like, what? She's in all these? She was in The Big Bang Theory, Roseanne, Uncle Buck, Lady Bird, The Dropout, and guess what? She's also in all the Toy Stories. Guess who her character is?
Bo.
Nope.
The mom?
Yep. She's the mom. Yeah.
Oh!
So that made me
laugh.
Love
it. Oh, that's so good.
Woody! Buzz!
Oh, great. You found them. Where were they?
Here in the car!
See? Now, what did I tell you? Right where you left them.
The bad guy in this movie, Will Patton, is his real name. The character is Wayne Nolan. He's the one that's trying to go after Susan for the earrings. Which we'll talk about later. And then I like bringing up the person that has become more famous that has the side gig in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like John Turturro. You recognized him, right? He was the opener for The Magician.
Oh, the Magician.
Yeah, he was the opener for The Magician. And he, I was like, I know that guy. That's Adrian Monk's brother.
Yes!
Which also Transformers, The Big Lebowski.
Let me tell you something, Pandeo. You pull any of your crazy shit with us, you flash a piece out on the lanes, I'll take it away from you and stick it up your ass and pull the fucking trigger till it goes click.
Jesus.
You said it, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Yes, there's a couple more people, but I kind of stopped there because my ADHD said moving on because there's so many people. Right. And I have a feeling that other actors, if they had a small role in this and had bigger roles in the 80s, we're going to talk about them. So yeah, so that is all for the cast kind of trivia, but I got more trivia. Roles. I love talking about the roles, like who wanted to be Susan.
Oh, yes.
Because obviously it was Madonna. Ellen Barkin wanted to play Susan's role, but because of the modest budget, as I read, and the director's insistence of getting Madonna, it didn't go to this Ellen person. Other people for Susan, we've got Jennifer Jason Leigh, Melanie Griffith, Kelly.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, Kelly McGillis, which I probably butcher that too. Tuesday Night, and Suzanne Vega.
Oh.
I'm sure we know who some of these people are, obviously Melanie Griffiths and stuff.
Yeah, right.
I also read that Suzanne is the French form of Susan, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I guess she really wanted to play that, but she didn't get it.
Yeah.
There was another thing. I read Goldie Hawn as well.
Ooh, that might have been pretty cool.
And Rosanna, she wanted to be Susan, but the director wanted her to be Roberta. So there's that.
Oh, she did so good as Roberta, too.
She did. For Des, I thought this was interesting. The director wanted Kevin Costner and Dennis Quaid to read the lines, but they wouldn't do it. Because a lot of actors, they didn't want to be the third wheel with two lead females.
For fuck's sake.
I'm going to hope that Kevin and Dennis has changed with the times.
I really hope so, too.
Now it's 2022. But
everybody can change their opinions, yes, but come on.
And they are catered to the white male, rules of the land, if you will.
Yeah.
So they don't say anything wrong.
You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, because whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world.
And Bruce Willis auditioned for Madonna's boyfriend.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I know. And he was in Pulp Fiction, too. So, all right. I got a couple more fun things to tell you before you talk about the music.
Okay.
So, I wanted to talk about the jacket.
Oh, yes.
Because I saw this thing and it made me be like, okay. The design on the back of the jacket depicts the same design as on the back of a $1 bill. At the base of the pyramid on the back of every dollar bill are the Roman numerals, MDCCLXXVI.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that 1776?
Yep, which is the date of the Declaration of Independence. Borrowed from Egyptian civilization, the pyramid connotes strength and the ability to weather the ages.
Ooh.
So anyways, I thought that was cute. More on that jacket. This is one of the iconic jackets. I think it was the one. Mm-hmm. It was sold at a Hollywood auction in 2014 for approximately $225,000.
Get the fuck out of town.
One of the ornate Egyptian earrings worn by them fetched $34,000.
Get the fuck out of town.
So people were really into this stuff.
Like, can they just pay off my student loans instead, please?
I know. Joe, are you listening?
Hello.
What else did I find out for you? Oh, some what could have beens.
Ooh.
There was this one that I thought was funny because I think the ending was perfect. But apparently the original movie ending was that both Susan and Roberta are invited to Egypt after helping return the stolen earrings. They are next seen riding camels next to the Egyptian pyramids in the Sahara. I was like, I hate you. I'm so glad you didn't do that.
Same. I really like the original ending, or the ending that we saw.
Yes, that's what made it. That's what, it was perfect. Let's see here. Oh, and then one more thing. The secondhand clothing store that Susan and Roberta go to for, selling the jacket. Mm-hmm. It's called Love Saves the Day. It was located in East Village in New York City. But in 2009, on account of tripling rent costs, it permanently shut down. So that's sad. But it lasted, quite a while after.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. I'm sure there's more stuff out there. Listeners, if you were like, how come you didn't talk about A, B, C, D trivia, just, send us an email and we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, we would love to include it. Absolutely.
Yes. Billy.
Yes.
Tell me about the music.
So I looked it up right before we started recording because that's how I work. The procrastination queen
goes with
here.
Perfection and ADHD.
That's right.
But yes, go on.
As if I don't stress myself out enough.
Right.
Anyway, so I looked him up, and it's Thomas Newman. Thomas Newman, who did the music for, Finding Nemo, Shawshank Redemption, American Beauty, Green Mile.
There it is.
WALL-E.
I was wondering, did we have him for another movie? The last 15 movies or no?
I think we might have. I think we have. I have a really shit memory.
Me too, but it sounds so familiar. Obviously, the movie will be there.
Right. I don't think so. Not yet, actually. Okay. But yeah, this guy is dude. Yeah, he's very well known. And I should have, now that I'm thinking about it, there's some parts in the movie. I think the movie score was at times just a little too loud, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was, quintessential 80s fun music for the movie. So yeah, he did a great job on that. Other than that, it was just, pop songs of the 80s. And, there's a Madonna song in there, of course. But yeah, that's really all I know about the music for this one.
So now, we've talked about the cast, we've talked about music. We should talk about the movie.
We should probably talk about the movie.
Yes. And real quick, recap. What would you say? What did you get from the movie? What, if you were to describe it to someone, I'm like, it's a girl stalking another girl. And that's how it started this movie. But there was great comical relief in it. And overall, it was a fun movie. But yeah.
It was, I felt like there were two movies, two plot lines going on at the same time. One was Roberta was obsessed with Susan and her situation, right? And the classifieds and stuff. But then the second plot line was her losing her memories and becoming Susan. So it was like two different ideas being merged into one movie that, I don't know, when, like in the beginning, I felt like that was a whole nother movie. And then like at the beginning of Act 2 is when she loses her memories. So it almost felt like a new beginning at that point in the movie.
Right.
But without the front half of the movie, we wouldn't know anything about going into this second half of the movie. So it felt a little disjointed, but it also, I don't know, it was just,
but I thought
the story worked.
They complemented each other to get the finished product, if you will.
Yeah. But it's like, a girl stalks another, oh my God.
A girl stalks.
A girl stalks. Okay. A girl stalks another girl who are both stalked by a creepy motherfucker, and nobody knows what the hell's happening. All the guys are just completely useless.
So you guys will find out as we talk about the movie. So let's just get into it.
Yeah.
So we start.
We open in a salon.
Yes, which I was like, okay, we're feeling it.
I mean, it's a girl movie, right? Why not open in a salon?
I totally knew it was a girl director after seeing that.
Totally knew it was a female director. Yes.
But basically, you've got Roberta being treated by her sister-in-law to get her hair done and stuff. And that's when you get the banter between her and her sister-in-law. Like, why are you reading the classifieds? Oh, well, it's this girl, Susan. And that's when you find out she's been following this girl, Susan, who meets up with her boyfriend by writing personal ads in whatever cities they hook up in. And that feels so much like today, like Facebook stalking.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
It was very, like, she was really dedicated because she had to wait, for those personal ads in the newspaper.
Yeah, and I was like, how does she know all of this? My question is, did she get newspapers from, like, Seattle or Atlanta or San Francisco? Like, how does she know that the
where they lived? Where she was every time they would meet back there.
Oh, okay. So they would look at the paper, like the New York Times or whatever.
That was the hub for Susan to always meet her boyfriend, Jim. I think that would make more sense, right?
That does make more sense. That was the question I had. I was like, well, how the fuck does she know? But yeah, you're right. So she was just like constantly looking at the newspaper to see if she was back.
Yes. And now that we talk about like, how did she have the time for this? We explore further into the movie that she's really like, her and her husband are just normal married couple, but they don't do anything together. She's always writing in her journal about Susan.
Yeah, and he was just a dick. He was so self-centered. Like the whole, like when she gets back home after the appointment, the salon appointment or whatever, like suddenly there is a watch party for a goddamn commercial.
Yeah, his commercial for his
business. Oh my God, which are like in-house spas, like to replace your bathtub with just like the spa situation.
Yes.
Like cheesy salesman to a T. And he doesn't give a fuck about anybody or anything other than himself. And it's very evident because you see him being such a narcissistic fucktard. And poor Roberta.
Obviously, you're upset about him.
This guy, I don't like him at all. Which, kudos to the actor. Honestly, this actor was like A+, but it reminded me of, the 50s housewife and how the men would never be home and they would always be out doing the man things or whatever, right?
But times are changing and Roberta's catching on and he's not. So.
Yes. And so that's why she's so obsessed with Susan, is because Susan is living this very exotic, quote unquote, romantic type of lifestyle. And that's all she wants. She has this anxiety of like fight or flight. She doesn't love her home. She doesn't love anything about her life right now. So she wants to run away.
Right.
So there's the fascination with Susan right there.
Desperate. I love that word. It's so romantic.
Everybody I know is desperate, except you.
I'm desperate.
You?
Sort of.
After the hair salon and stuff, we go to, I keep wanting to say Madonna. I'm going to say Susan.
Yeah. Susan.
We go to Susan, who is in a hotel room and just, was having a good time with a man who's not Jim. that we find out.
She gets around, this lady.
Yeah, see, and I think that was one thing. I get it. People are free to do what they want. But that style of a person, I don't like. I wouldn't want to be her friend because she'd come around to mooch off of me.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's sleeping with other guys besides her boyfriend. So that would concern me.
She's also pretty self-centered. She's living her life in any way that benefits her. However, I do recognize that given her lifestyle, or I don't know, just the way that she chose this kind of lifestyle, of course, but like she's also making it work by mooching off of other people.
Yes.
And yeah, it was kind of hard to see that at first and go, man, why does Roberta want to be kind of like this?
Right. You know, it obviously Roberta just sees the classified. She doesn't know this person, but then obviously we get into her finding Susan.
I got it.
Continue.
Scam artist.
Yes, it was very scammy artist-like.
Yeah. Yeah, Susan is very much a scam artist type of situation. She lifts money out of people's wallets like she did with this guy. Apparently, she stole the earrings, which that's the whole reason why they are stalked by the other motherfucker.
Yes.
It's because these earrings are apparently really important and expensive.
And stolen.
They were stolen from a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she takes those thinking like, oh, it's like costume jewelry or whatever. So in her defense, she didn't realize what she was taking.
But she stole something that was already stolen.
Yes.
But anyways, and hence the bad guy being his partner and ends up... Basically, Susan leaves the hotel room and then she hears on the news later that this guy is dead from the hotel. And she knows, she's like, oh, I saw him, but he was alive, according to talking to Jim. I think she told Jim about that.
Then we transition to Susan's house again. They're watching the commercial. It's the party for the commercial airing.
R-E-S-P-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T, take out T-C-B.
But, I mean, I want to know how she was raised, because she was very just a submissive person, and then her freak flag is stalking Susan.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is they've only been married for 4 years. Like, that seems like a very short amount of time to be that upset with your marriage. Unless he was a dick from the beginning.
Again, different lifestyle, I guess. I feel like that's 20 years down the road or something.
Right? I know. I'm like, I'm 7 years in and I feel nothing like that yet.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm 10 years in, but I also have kids, so.
Right.
Anyways. So yeah, we see, gosh, I gotta pick up their names. Hold on. Damn it. All right, so yes, we see Gary and we meet, or we see Leslie, his sister. There's another guy. I don't know if it's another brother or if it's Leslie's husband.
Oh, it's a guy she wanted to hook up with. And so she asked Roberta, hey, who's the guy talking to my brother? And she's like, oh yeah, he's a dentist. And she's like, okay. And so she goes over to her brother and says, hey, introduce me. And that's how they hook up.
Okay, and that's the guy that's eating with Gary later when Susan is gone and they're just eating? Yep. Okay. That's so bizarre, but okay.
I know. How bizarre? How bizarre?
How bizarre? Well, because it's like that kind of thing you do when you're in your 20s and they all look like they're 35. I don't know.
I just, when we get there, that was so great. We'll get there.
Okay. Moving on.
So now we are getting a glimpse into Susan's lifestyle, and we learn that she's literally living out of a hat box, and she's like changing in a room or what. Like
it's
she's
like a bus station or something. It definitely is a station, like a train station, because then she locks her stuff in a locker and puts the key in her jacket.
And she jury rigged it too. She didn't actually pay for it. She stuck a knife in there and forced it.
Totally scam artist, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So we got a glimpse into her life, and now we transition into a glimpse of Roberta's life again, and we really start to see how depressing her life is, because not only do we see her husband being a dick while she's hosting this party, but now she's staying up very late at night in the kitchen, watching an old black and white romance movie and eating a whole cake.
Right, and he's like, he comes out for a minute and he's like, good night, don't eat all the cake. Yeah. I would have been like, don't tell me what to do.
So for a while in the beginning part of this movie, we're just getting like a back and forth of Susan versus Roberta's life.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how it goes for a little while.
My luck can't get much worse anyway. Miserable scumbags. Maybe I should have slept with him.
Man, some witch steals my clothes. Miko gets pushed out a hotel window, and now you get fired.
No offense, but bad luck really seems to be following you around.
They go get a drink, and Susan calls Jim. I think that's the next part.
Jim puts an ad in the paper now. Desperately Seeking Susan is the name of the personal ad.
Yes.
And so he puts his ad in, and so he's like, hey, yeah, she's here. I'm here. Yeah. And so that's when Roberta's like, oh, Jim sees her. They're going to meet up. And she knows exactly where they're going to meet up because it's in the newspaper. So she goes.
Right. Yeah. And she watches.
Again,
she watches stalker vibes. Like she's this housewife that has just done nothing wrong, and her vice is stalking Susan. It baffles me. I feel like there would be something else, like maybe a novel series of romance or
something, right?
Something else, but it's like an actual person in the classified.
Yeah.
Or the personal.
So I just inhale romance novels, of course. But yeah, maybe I should try stalking. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to stalk anybody.
I inhale Starbucks drinks. I don't think stalking is a good idea in today's day and age. I go for drives, long walks on the beach when I'm at the beach once a year.
So anyway, she's there, they're there, they're hooking up, or they're, reuniting, and she's literally staring at them through one of those, like...
Think Home Alone, New York.
Magnifying watcher thingies. I don't fucking remember what they're called. Thank you.
What are those called? It's a certain kind of telescope.
There's a certain name for them, I know, but I don't fucking know.
And you put it in the quota, and you get to see out there.
The quota. Wow, get that New York accent out.
That's the only thing I know. I thought they were only placed in New York. No, just kidding. Anyways.
I love it. So anyway, she's stalking them, and then they part ways.
Well, this is where we also find out Jim talks to Susan about Des and gives the phone number. So, we're getting the connection that Des knows about Susan, but has never seen her before.
Yes.
And that's important.
That's important. So he's like, hey, look, I'm going to be going out of town to be doing a gig, because apparently Jim is... a musician.
Yes.
And so he's taken off doing his thing, and Susan's like, are you fucking for real? Like, you just got me, like, you brought me all the way out here, and you're just gonna leave?
I guess I'll go sell my jacket.
Yeah. And so she starts wandering down the street and looking at things and shopping and whatever. And Roberta, of course, just stalks her.
I would be like, this is too personal. I don't know you, and I'd walk away.
Right.
It just seems weird. If I see somebody I kind of vaguely know, but we don't know each other, I'm like, ew, and I run away. Why would I want to stalk people I barely know? It just seems weird to me.
Yeah.
So, anyways. Roberta's not smooth like Susan.
No.
She wants to be smooth, but she's terrible.
She's not. Which is totally fine. She's adorable. But, so then Susan goes into that thrift shop that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And she basically looking at these boots and wandering around and all the things. And so she finally haggles a price for the boots, and that is her jacket.
Right.
And in the jacket, this is important, inside the jacket pockets are the,
one of the earrings.
One of the,
because she's wearing the other one.
Well, she's wearing one, and I thought the second one was actually in the suitcase.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then it's
so in the jacket
key.
Pocket, it's the key and Dez's phone number.
Yes.
Okay. So she leaves the jacket, and they say something like, it used to belong to Jimi Hendrix. And I'm like, I mean, it's flashy enough, so I don't know if it was.
She says that to the sales guy, but he says somebody else.
Yeah, he said...
Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley, yeah. Elvis would never
How
wear
would
something
you forget that?
I know. Especially in the 80s. But,
well, no, he has one of your birthdays.
I know. One of my birthdays?
I always think of Larry Hankin. We're going to put out 2 birthdays for us.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I just don't know what your other birthday is yet.
I don't know yet either.
All right.
So she traced the jacket for the boots. And then Roberta, being the stalker, was like, I need that jacket. So she goes and grabs the jacket.
By the way, I remember Roberta was talking to Gary. I don't know if it was in the middle of the night or the party, but she was supposed to go get a radio for him.
Yes.
And she ended up not doing that. And
Yep.
Just a fun fact. That's why she was out and her husband wasn't asking questions.
Yes. Yeah, that was, I think, when he came in the middle of the night while she was eating the cake.
Yeah.
Because he was so self-centered about getting the stupid radio that he wasn't listening to her.
Right.
Okay, so then Roberta comes home with the new jacket, and she starts prepping dinner. But then her lowlife of a husband is like, oh, I'm not going to be here for dinner, blah, blah, blah. And what the hell are you wearing? And rightfully so, Roberta's like, well, you could have told me you weren't going to be here for dinner. Otherwise, I wouldn't have rushed, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, man, this marriage.
But he also was like, it just happened. I'm sorry. You forgive me. Like, the way that he can present himself to make her feel bad about it. So there was that whole little dance, too. Like, he was good at putting her in her place, and she's like, I don't know why I feel this way.
I know.
So.
It was like the gaslighting, narcissistic, something bullshittery going on. And I'm just like, he needs to go. So that's when Roberta discovers also that she has this key in the jacket pocket.
Right.
So Roberta makes up this plan that she's going to go, she's going to put an ad in the paper and saying, I have this key. And because she wants to meet up with Susan and so, like, just, I guess, meet her or whatever and give her the key. So meanwhile, when we go back to Susan, she is with Jim, who's getting ready to go to a gig up in Buffalo, New York. So he's going to be out of town for a little while. Oh, so Jim also at that point calls Des and says, hey, look, I'm going to be out of town. I gave Susan your phone number just in case she needs anything. Could you, like, just watch out for her, please? Right. And Des is like, dude, I'm like in the middle of working right now.
I also feel like Des is like, I know the stories about Susan too, so I don't like trust her.
Yes.
So that's good for him.
Yeah. He's got a healthy level of skepticism. So then we get to, we're back to Roberta and she's waiting to meet Susan. And this is when we first get, like, he's been in the background, but this is when he starts really moving forward, is the creepy stalker guy with the terrible beach bottle dyed blonde hair.
Right.
Ugh,
why do they always look like blonde hair, blue eye, German? But no, it's like a Bruce Willis film now. The bad guy.
I know. It's just
anyways.
So that's when Roberta starts getting like that creepy feeling of, hey, what the fuck is this guy doing here? And so she's looking around. Meanwhile, Susan is trying to get there, but she stiffed the cab driver.
And gets arrested.
And then gets arrested for it. So then Susan sees all that kerfuffle and then she's being stalked by this guy who is calling her Susan.
Right.
And she's like, I don't know what's happening. So she tries to leave.
Right. Well, Des is watching too.
Yes. By the way, that backtracking, when Jim called Des, he saw the ad in the paper for Susan. So Jim was very concerned that Susan was going to get hurt. So he sent Des to go check on Susan. To
see who this stranger was.
Yeah. And so then Des only has a basic idea of what she looks like. And the jacket that she usually wears, which has a pyramid on the back. That's what Roberta is wearing right now.
And basically this bad guy saw Susan earlier in the jacket, but not her face. So now there's the jacket again. They look like twins. You get the idea. She's now, Roberta's now Susan to this guy.
Yeah. And then with all the kerfuffle and being stalked and running away and all the things, Roberta hits a pole.
With the back of her head.
With the back of her head and amnesia. Jesus.
I don't really understand amnesia, but like in this case, she was like, I don't know who I am. But I think with the familiarity of Susan and stalking her, she's like, I guess I could be Susan. Mm-hmm. It seems like deja vu.
Mm-hmm. So then Des is like, you all right? And then so on and so forth.
Which again, I love how they talk back and forth. She's like, I don't remember. I guess I'm Susan. And he's like weary about her, like, what are you going to do to me? Are you going to stiff me? Or are you going to take something from me? And she's just like, I guess I'm this person. Just tries to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so while they're trying to figure out who she is, Des and Roberta find the key. And they also find his phone number in her pocket.
So of course it's her. It was really thought out, the process, like, because you can't really dispute that.
Yeah.
It's in Jim's handwriting. He said, I gave her your number. Like,
the jacket, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they go to look at the locker. And they open up the locker and they find all of Susan's stuff. And that's when she's like, whoa, I guess this is all my stuff. And she's looking at everything like, what the hell? And she opens up a pack of cigarettes and tries to smoke, and she nearly dies. And there's just,
you would think with that, like, I know this isn't familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah. So. And so on and so forth. So then Des is like, okay, see ya. You're on your own, kid. But when he leaves, he's like, wait a minute, though. Like, she literally has nothing right now, and she doesn't even know who she is.
Right?
So,
but also weary. Like, you can come stay on my couch, but don't do anything.
Exactly. So he takes her home. Gentleman.
But also, I thought it was interesting that when he takes her home, it shows, like, his ex-wife or girlfriend, like, breaking into his place, already there, taking everything that's hers.
All the stuff. Uh-huh.
So you see that he is single and ready to mingle.
Oh, maybe not ready to mingle, but
obviously he doesn't have a fridge anymore.
You know something? You are not at all what I expected.
You're not quite what I expected either.
We get another snapshot into Susan, but she's in jail. But then she's released from jail. And so she goes to her locker to get her stuff and finds it's all missing because Roberta took it.
Right.
And so she's like pissed.
Well, I think she's thinking as well, like, ooh, this girl really knows what she's doing taking my stuff. Mm-hmm. When Roberta's just like, amnesia.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you think about it, Susan being the scam artist, and now she's quote unquote being scammed.
She doesn't trust anybody. Now, Roberta's missing, and we go back to Gary.
Yes.
And that was very interesting because he's worried. Where's my wife? All this stuff. And
I know. And I'm like, we're never paying attention to her in the first place. You don't know a thing about your wife. And that's what his sister, Leslie, is getting at. She's like, you don't even know anything about your wife. She could be a prostitute. She could be a lesbian. She could be like all these things, right? Meanwhile, Gary is just in the kitchen stuffing his fucking face. And I almost got the feeling that he was more worried about losing his perfect wife because of the image it would give him.
Losing the object instead of the person.
Yeah. Especially when it was a question of whether or not she was a prostitute and a lesbian.
Well, I think it started off being like, she's having an affair. No, she's not having an affair. And then Leslie keeps going with it. Like, maybe she's a lesbian. She's just out of control, ridiculous. It almost sounds like the sister did not like who he married.
Oh, well, that and the sister was also calling him out on his bullshit.
They seem to think she's having an affair.
Oh my God, maybe she is.
That's ridiculous. Roberta is not having an affair. She's much too uptight.
That is a horrible thing to say. I suppose you're proud of the way you're running around with Becky Schumann.
I didn't know you knew about Becky. Anyway, we're not running around. We're having a perfectly respectable affair.
If she did not know, he would deny it, but she called him out, name and everything, was like, oh, I guess you know. It's like, I don't understand how guys can be that way. And I'm sure girls can be that way too. It's just the dynamic of, you don't know, so I'm going to deny it until you know. How does that work for anybody? Like, obviously the Glass family has issues. Roberta's going to do better on later in life.
Gary, let me ask you something.
What?
Does Roberta have orgasms? I mean, did she have them with you?
Orgasms?
You have heard of them, haven't you? I mean, maybe the reason she left you was because you weren't satisfying.
Leslie, not everybody is obsessed with orgasms. Some people just have them.
Did she?
Well, what? Did Phil Donahue do a show on orgasms?
Oh, you are really a pig. You know that. At least I know about feelings.
Feelings? I feel.
You're disgusting, Gary. You're just like Daddy. No wonder Roberta left you.
Would you stop saying that?
Oh, let's have some chicken.
The chicken is for tomorrow. Larry,
What did the police say?
I can't believe the two of you are eating in the middle of a crisis like this.
We're nervous. What do you want?
Then take a Valium like a normal person.
Which, I didn't know that was normal.
I mean, in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people still take things like that.
Oh, yeah.
now.
80s, 90s. Like, that was, like, Xanax, Valium, all that kind of stuff was like, give it out.
It's that
like
chill
candy.
pill. Take a chill pill.
Take a chill pill. Exactly. And then the opioid crisis happened and all things went to shit. Anyway.
Well, you see, I think I'm Team Glass and, like, I eat my feelings, not Valium. So, I see why he was eating, but also maybe not during this time. I wouldn't have an appetite.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. So many things people do.
I stress eat a lot. You can tell.
But have I stress ate in a crisis? Probably not.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. Anyway. So now we go back to Des and Roberta. They're on the roof. They're eating Chinese food.
And then they're talking about the things they find in her suitcase, like a little matches for the diner. And she's like, I think we should go in the morning, you know? And then the magic club, she sees a thing for that. And so it's cool that they talk about that.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like, Roberta has no idea anything. And Des was like, well, this is Susan, and Susan is with Jim, but I really like her. And then they kiss. They actually, like, lean in and kiss, because they're, obviously there's chemistry between them.
Because Roberta don't know a Jim, and she knows what she feels right now. So she's all second-guessing everything. It's just horrible tension in this movie, because you see, like, you're not doing anything wrong, but you know you're doing something wrong.
So that was pretty funny because I'm like, oh, Des, like, you're weak. What a weak man.
You're
this
weak.
This is totally a female director.
She knows guys are weak in their weak moments, okay?
I mean, so anyway, then they go to bed. Like, they part and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then they go to bed. More tension. He's sleeping on the floor on the other side of the wall. She's sleeping on his mattress. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they wake up in the morning and Des, like, sees her naked.
Now, this is a male director. So, again, I wasn't sure if it was a female or male director because he's, like, peeping and then, like, oh, let's pretend to go back to sleep. He's, like, hugging the cat and pet.
Yeah, the cat is like, what the fuck are you doing? Let me go.
The cat's like, you're using me as a prop while you pretend to sleep. Gosh. Well, anyway, she gets dressed and she's like, let's go get breakfast at this diner.
Like, she's all dolled up, too. She's really cute.
She was excited for it. She doesn't dress like that normally. And she was like, ooh, this is kind of nice.
Yep. So they go to the diner. They try to order and they're all like, no, she needs to get the fuck out.
Well, they first sit down and it seems like everything's fine.
Yes.
But she, like, turns to one of the ladies where it was like, no, not you. And she's like, I don't know what's happening. So, like, they grab the cook and they throw him out. Like, literally throw him out the door.
Literally throw him out. Then we go to Susan. She's still crashing at her friend's place and they decide to go see a movie. I guess. I don't really remember what happens at that part. Oh, her friend got fired. That's the important bit. Her friend got fired as the magician's assistant. And so they were like, okay, well, let's just go to a movie and get some pizza and go home. Meanwhile, Roberta and Des, just missed them. So they show up at the Magic Club. The Magic Club literally just puts up a help wanted sign and Roberta goes in. And they're like, oh, are you here about the job? And she's like, I guess.
She's like, what's the job?
Yeah. So now she becomes this magician's assistant, which is hilarious. Back to the husband. Oh, my God.
So in this whole thing, when you say back to the husband, wait, what part?
He's losing his mind at home again, but then the housekeeper walks by and her husband was like, wait, where did you get that bag? And it's the bag from the thrift shop in New York.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So he starts investigating and goes to that thrift club.
Yes.
Thrift club. Thrift shop. I don't know why I did that.
What?
That's what we forgot to say is Susan went back to the thrift store and left her phone number just in case the lady who bought her jacket came back.
Yes.
So when Gary went to go look and been like, my wife that's missing bought this jacket here, he was like, I vaguely remember somebody that left a number for that jacket. So he gives Gary the number.
Yep. Then we transition to Susan again. And she's at home, pizza with her friend, all the things. And Susan's like totally chilling out, listening to music, and marking places on the maps of where she wants to go, I guess. It's really funny.
Definitely free spirit. She wouldn't even answer the phone. And like the person living there was like, answer the phone, and just ignoring it.
So then phone's ringing. It's Gary. Ugh. Even the name, you're just like, ugh. I apologize to any Garys.
See,
anyway.
And I'm thinking SpongeBob. Gary!
Oh, okay, that's good.
It just depends on the Gary, you know, I guess.
Yeah. So, and then Gary and Susan talk, and she's like, okay, well, you know some shit. So she goes and decides to go meet him and talk to him.
Yes. Meanwhile, Roberta has her first show.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious. Birds do not like her.
No. She's like, all the birds are running away.
But I don't like birds. I wouldn't want to just willingly grab them. They're so like, meh.
You don't like birds?
They're flimsy. They flap their wings and they're like, what's happening? I was once chased by a parrot in my friend's house. It was a mean fucker. Birds scare me, so kudos to Roberta trying her best.
So Roberta's debut goes questioningly.
Just as bad as the last one.
We transition to a club, just a dance club, and Madonna meets Gary there. And Gary, of course, is sticking out like a sore thumb, which is pretty funny.
They talk about it. They talk about things. She's like, she left you, didn't she?
Yeah.
She's talking about the worst. And he's like, what? No, like, and she's never been in a place like this. She's never smoked.
Yeah. So then we transition to Roberta leaving work with all of the birds in a little bird cage.
Yes. But she runs into the bad guy.
Oh, the bad guy starts stalking her down the streets, and it's midnight. And of course, there's nobody around because, reasons. Scary as fuck. And I'm like, you know what? Absolutely a female director.
I didn't even think about that part. But, like, she did show Roberta, like, running and then going into where the security guy was.
And then I was
like,
security
okay,
guy,
that's smart.
Yeah. And then the security guy is also, like, skeevy. Ugh.
Right. I feel like he went and called the actual cops to be like, there's this prostitute that's hanging out where I'm supposed to be guarding.
Something.
Because, like, she waits there for a minute, but then she runs out. And, of course, the bad guy's there again. And, well, he knocked her down and he ran because the cops were there.
Yep.
And they arrest her for being a prostitute.
And she's like, no. And they're like, you look like one.
But she did hit her head hard enough that she's like, my name's Roberta. I'm pretty sure that was the part.
Yes, that was the part.
Like, it's coming back now. Sucks that she's getting arrested now.
And so now she's like trying to say what her real identity is. She's like, okay, I'm going to call my husband, all this kind of stuff, right? And you were like, so, yeah.
But moving back to Susan and Gary, she's like, take me to your place. And she starts snooping through all of Roberta's stuff. Okay.
And it becomes very apparent. Like, we were already getting this vibe from Leslie that Gary doesn't know shit about his wife. But then Susan comes in and she's finding like books in her nightstand about, being alone and
then her diary, all about Susan.
And and then all these things about Susan. And Gary's like, what the fuck? I don't know any of this stuff. And Susan's like, I guess you don't really know your wife, do you?
Right? I mean, she's so chill to find out she had a stalker.
I know.
That was rich and just bored with her life and didn't know what to do with her life. I mean,
I know. But I think after seeing Gary and that life and reading some of the shit in the diary, she's like, oh, this poor woman.
She's like, I understand now.
I understand why she would be obsessed.
Doing. Yeah.
So that's a fun situation. They hang out and they start smoking a joint and all sorts of stuff. And Roberta, meanwhile, is in jail.
Calls Gary.
She calls Gary. And of course, Susan answers and they're high as a kite and laughing and whatever.
Well, it's like, she's like, oh, it's for you. And Gary answers it as like the jacuzzi tub guy.
Yeah.
He answers it like his ad, and they're just laughing, and he's all stoned. So, of course, Roberta would hang up.
Of course, because now it looks like he's having fun with another girl.
Yeah, which was what she needed, because he was already doing that.
Yeah. Honestly, like, if that didn't happen, she would have gone right back into that life.
Right. Yeah.
So, thank you, Susan.
Yeah, I love how Susan was like, she owes me a coat, and steals one of hers. She's just like testing Gary, like, will you say no to anything? She's all like by the side of the pool later with the TV pulled out, which is hard to do back then.
Oh, God, way hard. Everything was connected.
Everything has a cable. Yeah. Like, you don't have wireless.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then Roberta is like, okay, hang up. And then she looks at the gal. She's like, I'm sorry, can I make one more? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. That's when she calls Dez, because she had his number still in her pocket.
Yes.
So she calls Dez, and Dez is like, all right. And he comes and bails her out. Meanwhile, the detective for Roberta's case, missing persons case, is like, oh, by the way, she ended up in jail last night, mistaken as a prostitute. And then Gary and Leslie are coming in. And he's like, all right, let's go get her. Oh, well, somebody bailed her out.
Right. It must have been her pimp.
Yeah, it must have been her pimp. And then they were like, oh my gosh, he has a pimp.
Gosh, but that was actually Dez, guys. Dez.
Yeah, it was just Dez. So then Roberta is trying to explain to Dez as they get into his house that he's like, she's not Susan. She is Roberta, but she just can't get it out. She can't say it. And he keeps interrupting her because he doesn't believe her because Susan's a scam artist. He doesn't trust a fucking shit thing that comes out of her mouth.
Right.
So, that's a great basis for a relationship, of course. So,
and when they get home, the whole place is torn apart.
Yes.
Too. So he's just losing it. He's like, I knew who you were. You would bring drama. Like,
you would make my life hell, all the stuff.
Now, I just spent $200 on bail, and now, yeah. So he's not taking things well.
Yeah. I have a question, actually. So, all of his film was just unraveled and in a pile on the floor. Who did that?
It was the bad guy.
Oh, it was the bad guy. Was it the bad guy?
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was the bad guy because he's looking
for
the other earring because he only has. I thought that's where he got it right then.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
So he must have gotten it then.
Yeah.
And then he was looking for the other pair.
Yeah, which was stuck in her wig.
Yes.
That other earring was stuck in her wig at work.
No. Wait a minute. We got to think about this because I thought she had one and Madonna had the other. Remember?
Oh, motherfucker, you're probably right.
So
I thought at the end, he rips her wig off, and that's how he gets the other earring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's just still looking for it. He knew he saw Susan with Dez.
Yeah.
So I think he was just covering wherever he could find the earrings.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, sorry that we can't remember this movie. It's been a while.
But you're right. No, Madonna had one, or Susan had one, and Roberta had the other. So
the details of the earrings, definitely a woman director. I mean,
Okay, so then Roberta just breaks down because she is trying to tell him the truth. He's not listening. She realizes that she's bringing nothing but chaos and shit to him. But then, she's crying, and then Des is like, fine, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want you to feel bad, blah, blah, blah. And then they kiss again, because duh.
Right. At this point, I don't know if it's at their place or the next scene, but you're getting a glimpse of the TV, and I actually took a screenshot of kind of what it was saying.
Is this the part where Madonna's out in the pool watching the TV?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's on that TV. But basically, it's like saying that Richard Nolan and Bruce Meeker were released, ... pending appeal of their 1982 conviction of smuggling. And it talks about what happened, the people that stole the earrings, one showing up dead in the hotel.
Yeah.
That,
we're getting clips. Like, there was even a news article right before the commercial in the very, very beginning about these guys, or about the missing earrings. And then there's newspaper articles with pictures of these guys and the earrings. And then that guy in the hotel that Susan was with in the very beginning dies because he was, thrown out a window or something?
Something like that. He was alive when she left.
But anyway, she sees this on the news and she's starting to put the pieces together. So when Gary comes home with sister in tow, sister is like, who the fuck is this shit? And she's like, oh wait, I got it all wrong. So Roberta isn't trying to get the earrings. She's actually in trouble, like that kind of thing. Or she put it together.
So you're right. So Madonna was like, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Yeah.
Because I don't think your wife just left you anymore.
Yeah.
I think she's in trouble.
Yes. And because she didn't realize that those earrings were those Egyptian priceless earrings that were stolen from the museum. She put that together and she went, somebody was coming after the guy who just died in the hotel. So now that Roberta has those earrings, or one of the earrings, Roberta's now in trouble. Right. So, sorry, I keep mixing up Susan and Roberta. Whatever.
I'm going to have fun editing that clip because I don't know who are you talking about. No, I'm just kidding. I'll know something. You're right. And so Roberta, damn it, I said the wrong one after that whole thing. So Susan gives him a little information and then was like, meet me later at the Magic Club. And she goes and puts out the personal ad for the stranger, like Susan seeking stranger or something
like that. Yep.
And by the fate of it all, like Roberta hasn't picked up a newspaper through all this.
Right.
And she's just like sitting somewhere and sees a newspaper on someone sleeping. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, let's look at the personal ad. I just didn't understand that part.
Know, right? That was pretty funny.
But anyways.
Before then, though, we go back to Roberta, and Roberta and Dex have hooked up.
Des.
I don't know why I keep saying Dex. I don't know why I keep saying Dex.
But yes, they hooked up.
And Roberta...
She told him.
I mean, I like how they did it this way, though, because it wasn't like with the kiss earlier, that's infidelity, but she didn't know that she was doing that, so she can kind of be excused for it. But now she's back to herself. Like, she has all of her memories. She knows that she's married.
And she told him.
Yeah, all of this. He doesn't
it's
believe
not
her.
Fault. He didn't believe.
Yeah. And so she's like, fuck it. I hate my life anyway. And so she sleeps with him. Meanwhile, Des is like, uh-oh, this is Susan. I just slept with my friend's girlfriend. Fuck.
So he's in all sorts of guilt tripping himself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
then Jim shows up. And they all were like, what's that noise? Because they were like, oh, somebody's breaking in. And after all of the break-ins and losing his shit, of course, they're hyper aware of it. So they hide behind the door. And Jim walks in, and Des is like, whack, right across his head.
Yep. And he
knocks him out cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Good call for him. Sick of people breaking into his fucking place.
For reals, though.
But then also it's like, if I was Roberta, I'd be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So I get it's the movie and the plot and how it all ends, but I don't understand after Jim woke up why she ran.
I don't know either, actually. Why wouldn't she stay and clarify the situation?
Just say, hey, real quick, guys, this is what's going on. I gotta go meet Susan here.
Right.
I just don't understand.
I don't know either. But, I mean, if I were her, I'd be like, well, if he figures out who I am, or if he knows that I'm not Susan, then the whole jig is up and I'll have to go home, and I don't want to do that. Which, I don't know, maybe that's a motive, or maybe she's like, I don't want to do anything, and then she just takes off. Maybe she's just embarrassed.
Yeah, I would be more like Frozen, run away. I feel like that would...
She's
probably feeling all sorts of things, but she knows she got to get to the Magic Club because not only is she meeting Susan, but she's doing the magician act.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, a very important part that we kind of glossed over is Des and Jim do talk, and Des is like, oh, you know, Susan, like she's just this person, and I just couldn't help myself. And he confesses to Jim that he slept with Susan, and Jim's like, what?
And I love how they banter back and forth, and like Jim's like, why don't you rip my heart out more or something, but they still were like okay with it. And then Des was like, let's just go ask Susan right now, and then she's gone.
Yeah.
So they can't even confirm it's a different person, so they end up going to the club.
Yeah.
And they're gonna find Susan and talk to her.
Yes.
We're almost there, guys. The finale where things come together and everybody that doesn't like belong at that club's there, like Gary and his sister and that other guy.
Yeah, that other guy. The rando dentist dude that...
Yeah.
Then Roberta comes out, and she's kicking ass. She's like the best assistant ever. She's like,
I don't know how she got the practice in.
I don't know either. She didn't.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, she practiced, apparently, somehow. And
and the bad guy is sitting in there with all the tables with everyone else, and he's sitting there too, and he sees the earrings she put on.
And the next table over is Roberta's husband. And then Susan, Dex and Jim are at the bar. And then Susan, how does Susan come into all of this?
Okay, so Susan brought in Gary, and she's like, okay, I'm going to go find the stranger. And then I think she's at, like, a jukebox, and they see the...
Oh, that's right.
Like, she's in Roberta's jacket, but they see her face. So Jim and Des see her, and Jim's like, there's Susan. And Des is like, that's not Susan.
Yeah.
So everything was fine after that, and he went to go get Susan.
Yeah. So Jim went to go get Susan. Yeah, for sure. And then they, like, go hook up.
Right. But in the meantime, with Roberta being like off stage, the guy just grabs the wig and goes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
God, I can't really remember. Everyone's like freaking out at this point. He got one.
Yeah, he runs up there, rips the wig off of Roberta's head. Then they close the curtains and they take, he runs off. Roberta's laying there like, what the fuck? Because that was when she was in the box.
That's right. And then Des and Gary both come up. And they're like, are you all right? And it's her worst nightmare. This is why you don't cheat on people, folks. This shit will happen.
It will.
And Des is like, you were telling me the truth.
Yeah.
So there's a staple in their relationship.
Yeah, right? Something clues her in to Susan being in trouble now.
Okay. So actually, it is two different things, because she's like, Gary, let's go talk. And they go into the dressing room.
Yep.
The only way she finds Susan is because the bad guy gets Susan. I think knocks out Jim or something.
Yeah.
It's got her hostage, and is like trying to get out of there with Susan to, I'm assuming, kill her because she knows too much.
Yep.
And that's when Susan goes through the window to the dressing room.
Yes.
And Roberta just kind of sees her, and she's like, mouthing, help
me.
So,
yeah. And so Roberta, quick, smart thinking Roberta, grabs the biggest freaking bottle she can find. And then when asshole starts crawling into the window, it goes whack right over his head, knocks him out.
Right.
That's a theme here.
Yeah. And instantly it seems like Susan and Roberta are best friends.
I know.
Like nothing happened, nothing to see here. We're the same person.
Yeah. I have to admit, I was expecting a little bit more of a showdown with the bad guy. There was really nothing there. Like, she just knocked him out.
There's the woman director again, because sometimes it's that easy. Why does it have to be so flashy with the bad guys? Why do they have to take everything out with them?
No kidding,
what I
right?
mean? Let's have some sense, people.
And the focus is on the female friendship for females who have never met each other before.
Right. I guess you could say Susan for being, a scam artist, a drifter, if you will. She could really read people and knew that the situation was not as it seems. And then reading her diary, of course, she could just see this woman wanted a different life.
Yeah.
And probably was happy to meet her finally,
Life settles down a little bit, and Roberta tells Gary, well, this is actually a little bit earlier. Roberta was like, I don't want to go home with you, period. And Gary was like, well, basically trying to strong arm her into a pigeonhole she did not want to be in anymore. And she realized that she does have the strength. I mean, if you can live like Susan with amnesia, you can do anything. All right. You don't need to go home with a loser. So she sticks around. And that's when she gets the bad guy. So
in the next 5 minutes, she stops a bad guy and meets Susan. And then after that, it shows just a section of the newspaper where both girls return the earrings and they got a check.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep.
Which was a great ending because Susan shared her money.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought she was going to be like, those are my earrings. I stole, bitch. But no, they liked each other so much, they shared the reward.
And now they're lifelong friends. The end.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! We did it.
So Billy, what would you rate this movie? No matter who directed it. Men or women.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I think I'm going to give it a 7. I think, with the plot as intricate and interweaving as it was, that was really good. Like, it took little bits here and there, and they gave each character enough clues to keep going forward in their way, which also created a lot of tension and conflict. Mm-hmm. Great character development for everybody. Music was good, obviously, and it was just really good. I just felt like some of the elements, like the climax at the end, was just a little lackluster. It was a funny, good, I would put it on again. I mean, I watched it twice, and I think I liked it better the second time. What about you? What would you think of, what would you rate the movie with, as, whatever?
I will rate the movie with a 7 as
Really?
well.
Nice.
Yep, because, I mean, there's nothing that made it too awful. Like, it flowed. The music was, poppy and stuff, but it didn't disturb the movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even though it did kind of feel disjointed at first, it all came together very well at the end. So I'll do a 7.
Yeah.
And may I request, if this movie's remade, it's Facebook stalking.
Yes! Oh, yeah. Or Instagram.
Because we can't do that anymore.
Well, I don't know if that would work as much, because they would have to rewrite certain things, because Susan's face, people would know what she looks like on Facebook or Instagram.
Sure.
So they would have to switch that up. Like, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it would have to be 2 identical twins switched at birth.
Something
like that. That's the only way.
That's the only way, yeah.
Because, digital everything these days, you know who you're stalking now. Now you really are 100% certain who you're stalking.
Yeah, it would legit be just an adult version of It Takes Two.
Yeah.
We're the Olsen twins. Come on, let's redo this. Come on.
Yes, and get Elizabeth in it, too, because everyone loves her.
All right. Well, I think it's time
to pick another movie. I'm sorry, I'm a hot mess. Okay, ready? Are we ready?
Oh, God.
Oh, no, I dropped one.
Is that the one?
I guess that's the one.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
Shit. The look on her face?
This is the one I was worried about.
Oh, shit!
Xanadu.
Oh, no!
1980.
Oh, God!
Listen up, because I love you, lady. We go back like 1980.
Xanadu.
Yeah. Or Xanadu don't. We'll see. We'll review it next time. I heard it was terrible.
Find out next week on Silver Screen Sisters.
Yes. Obviously. We will be talking about it.
Oh, my God. Xanadu. Pray for us.
Pray for us. And as always, Billy's going to give you some information.
Yes.
Because I always mess it up.
You're fine.
Who
you're
are
fine.
we again?
So we, of course, if you ever want to talk to us about some of these movies, you have ideas for the podcast, for the movies, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us. We have a Facebook group, Facebook page that you're more than welcome to join and like. Find us on Instagram and Twitter. And we have our website as well, www.silverscreensisters.com. And on there, we have a contact form where you can just fill it out, goes right into our inbox. And, but if you just want to email us directly, you can always email us at connect, CONNECT, at silverscreensisters.com.
Beautiful. That was wonderful.
Woo.
And as always, gotta go.
We got stuff
I was going to say, I don't have anything else to say except for it's about that time where I got to do other shit.
Yep. About that time.
It was wonderful. It's been a couple weeks, but thank God we got to talk about this.
Yes.
And I can't wait for next week.
Good luck with Xanadu. Hey, I got Popeye over with pretty quick, so it's your turn.
Okay. I can do this.
Yes, you can do it. Woo!
All right.
Well, I love you.
Love you too, sister. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, check out our website at silverscreensisters.com. Silver Screen Sisters 80s edition is hosted by Billy and Sophie. Editing is done by Sophie, and cover art was done by Billy, with special illustration work done by Bacencia. Intro and outro music composed by Future Mono, and hold music composed by the Mini Vandals. This is a Silver Screen Sisters production and is powered by Coffee and Yoga Pants.